I'm Sue,
And I'm Katie, and we're a mother-daughter duo.
disrupting the status quo of the generational lies. I spent 8.5 years as a VP, building my career, climbing the corporate ladder. But on paper, I looked so good, but I felt like I was in a well paid prison. I was the trap expert. And I realized that society was telling me that money equaled success. But after a while, I realized money was not success and that it was more like me, life, and career, which I did not have.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I think that society tells you that you got to follow a specific track. You've got to go to college, maybe get a master's degree, graduate, get a good job, get a better job, get a better job. And that's the track I followed. I had a bachelor's degree, master's degree, got that job, moved up in my career, and kept moving up in my career. But I was miserable on the inside. Like on the outside looking in, like I was very successful. I had a very well-paying job, great benefits, all the things that you're supposed to have, but inside I was absolutely miserable and pretty much dead inside. And I never understood, or at the time I couldn't understand why I was so miserable because I was doing all the things that I was supposed to do. I was working, I had the money, I had the so-called success, but I would scroll through like social media and see other people living the life that like in my heart I knew I wanted, but thought that I could never live that life because that wasn't what you're supposed to do. And that's not what success looks like. And when you're a young and impressionable kid, you just follow the success path, right?
Or to follow what you're learning from people like myself, like climbing the
True.
success ladder, if you want to call it, was what I since I was a child was told I had to do. Like
Right.
that's you go to college and you climb this ladder. Well, in when we only think about career, we actually don't have, you just said it. You felt empty. We don't have a you. And we don't have a life because, like, even for me, I put life on hold. There were no partners for a long time because how could I add someone into that? Like, it would be
Right.
really hard, 7 days a week. I don't know. You say we came home at like 8 or 9 at night.
Yeah, I remember, I mean, for much of my corporate career, we worked in the same company, and I remember going to work at like 8 in the morning, and sometimes we wouldn't leave the office until like 9 p.m., and we would bring our computers home with us. Like I remember one time we had a users conference coming up, and I got strep throat really bad, and I didn't want to leave to go to the doctor to get or to even to like the urgent care or the minute clinic to get tested because I had so much to do for this conference, and I went and got tested and I had strep, and then I felt guilty because I was like shit, like maybe I gave someone else strep because like I didn't want to go and get tested, but then like I'm home and I'm miserable and I'm on my computer still doing the work that I would have been doing in the office instead of resting and trying to get better.
Because at that company we didn't allow you to work from home. So I remember a similar story. I remember us walking out our door of the apartment. And you were on one side getting in the car, and I fell right
Oh
down.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where are you? And I got up, and I knew I did something really bad to my arm or elbow or something. But we got in the car, and I think I had a stick shift then.
No, we
And
had a regular car.
oh,
I had to do the gear. And I'm like, something's wrong. We should be going to the emergency room right
and I,
now.
so because I think it was an all day meeting on setting goals for the year or something like that. And I was like, I have to go to this meeting. And so we drove like that. I sat in the meeting with my arm under on my lap, like in so much pain. Then we left work as soon as we could, and I don't think it was until like 6:30. And we went to the ER. Well, we went to the urgent care, but it was closed.
It
Remember?
was. And then we went to the ER.
We went to the ER, and it was such a stormy day that they lost all their power, and they were
Oh,
on.
I remember.
I had to have it X-rayed on a old X-ray machine. And then I remember the next day I got up and you're like, you're going to work. We're going.
Like, gotta
So
go.
I went because it was the second day of those meetings and I knew I had to go. But I mean, I probably could tell a lot of funny stories.
But I mean, okay, so that makes sense though, because I remember having like rotator cuff surgery and like literally 2 days after surgery, I was back at work, like right arm in a sling, shifting my car gear with my left hand. Yeah.
Because we don't miss work.
No, and I couldn't even write, and so I'm like typing one-handed.
And the next day when I came in a cast, they're like, what?
And even today, like even though like, and this really isn't about like disrupting the lie, but like I had carpal tunnel surgery and I left the outpatient surgery center to go pick up things for work. And then I went to work the next day to lead a conference. Like, so it's like still working through what?
Because we're trained to do it.
Right.
And we have to reprogram ourselves, get out of it.
Yeah.
I I know before we got on here, we talked about an apartment that you and I lived in.
Hmm.
So it really bothers me that I can't remember living in the apartment.
But I don't remember it either.
So you don't remember. That's how many hours.
I like there's literally two things that I remember doing in that apartment. And one of them was after coming from like driving back from visiting Brian, who's my brother, um, in Minnesota. The whole ride back, we argued over whether or not I was 5'6" or 5'7". And like we walked in the door and like you didn't even say anything. You just went and got the tape measure immediately walking in the door and like pulled it out. And you were right. I'm 5'6". I'm not 5'7". But like
I,
I remember that, but I don't think it's about the apartment. I think it's about like that story just happened to happen, like have me take place in that
it does.
apartment.
Just that it tells us because society says that money equals success and we must work really hard so that we make the money so that we're successful and we can live in these apartments. And it was a beautiful apartment that we don't remember
Hmm.
because we had no us, no me, and no life. The life
Yeah.
was in that office, in that prison, as I call it. Um, and then for me, life it was not being present. I could go to everything that I had to do, but it was mentally not being present and just being physically somewhere
Yeah.
because I needed to do that so that, I was the mom too, but not there because I was always thinking about the next thing. So I think the lie is that we tell ourselves the lie that we have to climb,
Hmm.
we have to make the money, we have to live in the nice places, we have to have,
Yeah.
the food on our table and work 7 days. If you get to a high level position, you got to work a lot of hours in order to stay there, right? So that they keep you in. We think they appreciate us and love us in that moment, in that 7 days a week, 12, 14-hour days that we're working, that they care. But the truth is, once you leave, they don't really care. You're
No.
you're done, and you have
Yeah.
to weigh yourself.
Yeah, and I think for me, like a lot of it, like there was this internal battle that was happening inside because like success equals or money equals success means that money is a motivating factor, right? And I'm not motivated by money. Like I'm not a person that's motivated by money. And so I- and now in retrospect I understand a little more. I think something that um I struggled with a lot and it like was that internal battle, and now knowing things like that I have ADHD and like all these other things, like things make sense, like because I'm motivated by interest and motivated by passion and motivated by things that like matter to me, and money is not one of them. But I kept telling myself like I have to be successful, I have to make more money, I have to do XYZ because that's what I'm supposed to do. While inside, I was like, I want to be traveling. I want to be helping people. I want to be doing this thing and I want to be doing that thing that have absolutely zero to do with making money. And yes, making money, like you need money in order to live in this world. However, it doesn't have to be the motivating factor. The money doesn't equal the success.
Yep. I think you hit on a big thing. The big cost to all that is ourselves.
Hmm.
And we don't even realize it while we're going through it till you get to a place where you are or where I'm at, where we come first now, right? You got to have a you. And if you
Yeah.
don't, none of the other stuff really matters. And you have to have a life. This career piece that society tells us we must do leaves.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. Well, I think we were kind of talking about this like before, is like I realized the me piece, I think a little sooner than
then
you realized the me piece. Like I realized the me piece and I started putting up boundaries in my life and between my life and my career. I no longer wanted to like have the idea of having fun be my friends and I getting together and bitching about what was wrong in my our lives. Like that was no longer fun for me. And so I started putting up boundaries and creating new and different things in my life. But that meant also not working from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., not answering phone calls from my boss at 3 a.m., not waking up in the middle of the night to make sure I didn't have any emails from like my boss, all the different things. But then in return, like the boundaries that I set up caused my boss to issue a performance improvement plan. And so it wasn't that I wasn't doing my job, it was that I was no longer doing my job the
the ways
way
that
that it was that I had created an expectation for my like something that my boss could expect. And I was no longer willing to do that anymore because it was not in my best interest. And so, even though I was still doing the things that I was supposed to do within the 9 to 5 window, because I wasn't doing the extra above and beyond anymore, that equaled I wasn't doing my job and I needed to be put on a performance improvement plan. And I think for me, that kind of like proved like, hey, I don't really matter in this. equation. Like anybody could come in here and do what I'm doing and they wouldn't care, like they wouldn't miss me. Like it's not like I don't matter in this situation. And so I made a plan to leave. And it was shortly after that that like I ended up moving across the country and starting a nonprofit and starting to follow like a plan that, or not even a plan, but like following like my heart and doing the things that like made sense and felt right in the moment instead of doing the things that society told me I was supposed to be doing. And by not listening to that lie of like money equals success anymore, that's when I think I started creating real success and real happiness in turn, because I think like happiness is a big part of success. Like if you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not happy, like that money means nothing.
I think I realized there was more and boundaries had to be set when I met Mark, my current husband.
Mhm.
He took me kayaking, and I,
I
every
remember you telling me you were going kayaking, and I was like,
I went kayaking, and he said, "You have to I want you to put your phone in this compartment right here in the kayak." And I said, "Are you kidding me? Yeah, I want you to turn it off, and I want you to just be." And I thought that was like the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but it was freeing, very
Mhm.
freeing.
Yeah.
Realized I was tied to that phone because they could call me at any time. And then I started setting all the boundaries and then, finally left, but realized the day I left that we we create stories all the time. Like I said, they love me. They're like family because they were a small company and we went to a big company and I'm in their inner circle. And I gave up everything for that. But on the day that I left, I had to exit interview myself.
That's,
Because no one
that's
was
like
there to do
mind blowing.
it. And they didn't know how to do it. So I had to give them all the paperwork and say, okay, here's my PTO, here's this, here's what this is, here's where my Cobra, here's all the stuff. Where they were really not paying attention though, because they were doing what I always did. They were thinking about what they were doing next was to go to a Cubs game or a Sox game. I can't remember which one. And I got down to my car and realized you have made you you made choices in the last 8.5 years that you didn't need to make, right? And success, when you have all three pieces, the career, and the life, you have true success. And I want to say you can have money too at the same time, but you have
100%.
to, right? So I think the biggest cost to living that lie where money equals success and passing it down really because you felt the same thing, but the only way I felt it because my parents worked hard. My father worked three jobs, worked hard. All my brothers and sisters worked hard. I saw that was what we're supposed to do. No one had to really tell me. And you did the same thing until one day when the light bulb goes off and we say, well, that isn't it. That's
Hmm.
not the cost is myself. By listening to that lie, it
Yeah.
cost us inner peace, inner joy, um, freedom.
I mean, if I'm being really honest, I think if I hadn't have figured it out when I figured it out, it very well could have cost me my life.
Really?
Hmm. I was very unhappy, like very miserable in my life. Like not that anybody could see, like it was an internal thing, but yeah, it was yeah.
Know what would have happened to me, but if the moment, even in the kayak, didn't happen for me, I probably wouldn't be married to Mark today because I'd still be working 80 hours a week in a
Hmm.
corporate job
Yeah.
somewhere, whether it's at that job or somewhere else. I wouldn't have learned that lesson. I
Yeah.
learned it late in life. I mean, I learned it at 55 years old.
I think in retrospect, like, because the time we worked together is the only time in my career that I've ever worked in corporate. And I think that corporate was never a place for me. Like, I don't think I belonged there, like, in any way, shape, or form. But again, it was like climbing that ladder. Like, what was the success piece of it? And, yeah, but I think it also helped lead me to like, it did help me get to different places in my career within nonprofit for sure. And also like when like had my own business, but I think corporate was not never really the right place for me.
Yeah, I think honestly it wasn't for me either, but it did provide what I needed it to provide as a single parent, right? I don't know that you guys wanted for much. You
I don't
think?
think so.
I mean, maybe things, that I didn't couldn't give, but for the most part, you had everything you could want. That
I
I,
can't even remember. I feel like like we had all the things we wanted or needed, and like by the time I was 15 I was working, so whatever I wanted, like I could get myself. So it was never about that.
but that's it provided. So corporate had its piece as a single mom, right? For me, but I think for me, like my mom used to tell me all the time, you should have been a therapist or social worker and service people, and I always thought I could not make any like that.
Well,
And
like here's the thing, you can. Like you just gotta
yeah, being a coach, I am servicing
yeah.
others, servicing women and helping them to not listen to the lie that says success is the title or success is money. It
Hmm.
isn't. You are not successful until you have figured out you and life and that career, and all three of those align in a way that they're standing tall,
Hmm.
because they do integrate, and when they integrate they seep in. And if you're only in career,
Yeah.
the others fall down, and that's why I think we feel that sadness and that depression and not wanting to do anything because we're too mentally tired from working all those hours. And
Mhm.
we end up not remembering living the life,
Right.
right? Because
Exactly.
brain is only focused on those and the other two are laying down. And I think, and I've watched many people over the last 10 years actually get that aha moment, and they're like, it isn't about the money. Money is good. We need it. Don't get me wrong. We do need it. It's just, it's so much healthier when you have all the other pieces.
Yeah, and I think when you're focused on what motivates you and what brings you passion and purpose, the money piece kind of comes along with it. But
Mhm.
if you're focused on those things, like what motivates you, what brings you passion, what brings you purpose, like that's where the gold is.
Yeah, I agree. That is the goal, and that is where success is. You could have a job making half of what I made in corporate and be happy.
I have a job that makes half of what you made in corporate. And I love my job. Like I've gone back and forth where I started a nonprofit. I had my own business, like coaching business, and while I'm a great coach, like if you ask anybody who's ever like worked with me, like they'll tell you the same thing, but like that was never like my passion. Like I was good at it and I liked it, but it wasn't ever what brought me, like it never fulfilled me. But like now, like I'm a director in a nonprofit, a large nonprofit, and I love going to work every day. Like my clients make me so happy. So, um, yeah, I think that it's not about the money. It's about, are you following that passion and that purpose?
Yep, I feel the same way. And I have boundaries, even, having my own business. The boundaries are, you know, hours. I mean, heck, if I stop working by 6, dinner's on my table. So I'm not that I'm going to be done at 6, right? Um, but that's our agreement. I can have coffee until 9 o'clock if that's what I really want to do, or 10 o'clock, go for a walk or do what we want to do, because we set the boundaries and we have this window, right? And you have to integrate all the fun stuff.
Yeah, you have to be willing to live your life because now, like now, I do have a job that fulfills all of that, but it also lends itself to give me the flexibility that I want. Like if I want to start work at 9, I can start work at 9. Like as long as I put in my hours, my like it's not questioned, and I put in more than 40 hours a week, but at the same time I get to do the things that are fun. I get to go like have nachos with my friends on a Wednesday, and I get to go to rehearsal like and do plays in theater with my niece, and I get to do all the things that like make me happy, or I get to take a random Wednesday off and go downtown and see Phantom of the Opera with my friends. Like I get to do those things because I've created the life to be able to do that.
You created the space
I created the space to do that.
to do it all.
Yeah. So money doesn't equal success. Success is what you make it. You got to follow that passion and the purpose and what motivates you. And that's the real truth, not that
The
money equals
real
success.
truth is money does not equal success. And if you make it that as the truth, you lose yourself, mainly yourself,
Yeah.
and the ability to have joy,
Yeah.
right, in your
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us for this first episode of us kind of disrupting the status quo of these generational lies. Join us next week while we dismantle another one.
Yeah. Dismantle another. But we thought we'd start with mother daughter, because there's a
That's
lot of,
who we are.
yep. All right. Great. See you next week.